Beat It AT, what up? Beat It AT, what up? Beat It
What is up, my brodies? It is Andrew Appear here of Beat It AT Production and Publishing, bringing you guys a brand new YouTube video. In this YouTube video, I'm going to be breaking down on how I made this Drake and Travis Scott type beat in FL Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and play the intro, chorus, and verse and see what you guys think.
Beat It AT, what up? Beat It AT, what up? Beat It
So that's a beat. I obviously only played the intro, chorus 1, verse 1. Not a lot of changes in verse 2 and verse 1. The only changes is an additional automation clip and the transition from verse to chorus. So I guess it's important to know where I got the melody from, or what is the melody. The melody is a sample, and it is a loop. I did get it from a website called The Drum Broker. Great website. This is not an affiliate or sponsor video, but rather just me giving them free promo because I do like them. And I have bought quite a few sample packs from there. And mostly because they actually have artists like Travis Scott, like Drake, P&D, The Weeknd, Post Malone, and a whole bunch of other artists using samples from that site. As well, and the drums that I used in this beat were from beatat.com. So, which is, you know, our team. So, anyways, I got the sample from there, and it was in a soulful sample pack. I'll put the link to the exact one down in the description. I don't remember off the top of my head. But if I play the sample, or show you, I'll first show you guys the sample on what it was. So, make unique. Get rid of the time. I'm just going to track that over here. Mute this. That was a sample. Now, if you get samples from a credible place, they'll usually tell you the BPM. And that's important because this is 75 BPM. If I go into auto detect, I'm going to type in the BPM of the sample, not my BPM. So my BPM is 140. So 75 does not work with 140. 70 does because it's half of 140. So if it, so I'm going to type in the BPM of the sample, 75. Now it's stretched. The only problem with that is that's not the exact one. It is the exact one, but if I type in 150, which is the double time, because 140 is double time of 70. I'm sorry if it's kind of confusing. Just think of it as 70 is half as fast as 140. They're the same in the fact that if I times my 70 BPM track by 2, it should be 140 other than the structure. So 150. So now it's on tempo, but the only problem with it right now is the fact that it's not in the same key, which is fine. But then I did a some effects to it. So if we go to track 2 in our mixer, I have a mid-pass filter because I want to get rid of some of that gunk. So we also have a gross beat and low pass. So over here though, I actually had a gross beat turned on. So this one is actually tuned to 75 BPM, so it's actually double the speed, but because it has that gross speed on, it's actually half speed. So it kind of sounds like this one, except this one's the full loop. So I'm sorry, that might be kind of confusing. Both of these, I believe, let me double check. Turn off the stretch. Okay, no. This is a full loop, and this is a full loop. The only difference between this one and that one is this has gross beat, so it's playing at the same time as this, but a little bit different. The reason why is this is playing at the normal loop, whereas this one is going double as fast, but then I'm pulling it back with that gross beat. And since gross beat doesn't perfectly half speeds it, it kind of gives it a different vibe. It's like more stuttery, if that's even a word. So got that gross beat going through here, and this is the same loop all the way through up here. There's really only 3 variations of this loop. It's this one, and this one. This one's just the first half of it. This one's the full one of that one. And this one, so this is the same thing as that. It's just faster, going by faster. And this one is just half of that. I'm sorry if that's confusing at all, but it'll make sense. So anyways, intro, pretty simple. I have this gross beat automation going. So it's this one. Look at the and the reason why I turn it off in the chorus is to add that anticipation and that energy when something is going faster. It has like more hype in it. So when we add all those drums, not to mention we got this ambience drum loop, we got another drum loop, and then we got an impact as well as our drum pattern. So we have all these elements coming in on initially having that good hit, whereas that intro is really dull. It just has that loop playing through, so it's like kind of like building up that hype, or it should be. And then that drum, well, before I go to that drum loop, I guess I'll just keep on going. So this would be like that breakdown part of the chorus, where they might repeat a certain word over and over. Here would be like the main part of that chorus. continuing. Just keep on having that loop played. We bring that growth speed over, because if we turn it off, oh well, we still need to turn this off. That could work, but the problem is it's pretty similar to the chorus, and which whenever I make my beats, I wanted to make it as apparent as possible for the artist to know this is chorus, this is verse type deal. So and a little bit slower. I mean, actually not slower, but this is the full measure of the sample, but still at that fast pace. So it's like this segment, except we're not looping that first half like how we are up there. So on the side, I kind of labeled it. This is a full loop when it's tuned or stretched to 150 beats per minute. This is just half of the loop tuned at 75 beats per minute. This is a full loop tuned at 75 beats per minute. That should make a little bit more sense. All right, and all I did to tune different ones is just go up here, make unique, and so it doesn't affect each one, because otherwise if I change this one, it's going to change all of them if they weren't unique. So I'll just go through the chorus now. So chorus, there's no automation. This is just our master fader, which I fade out at the outro. But in here I got the drums, got the ambience, got an impact, and got a drum roll. I'm going to turn off these three first though. Let's look at this drum. So I got the hi-hat, where I got my hi-hat going at every 2 beats, very typical. But then I changed and did some like lower end hi-hats. Snare, very typical. So I mean, everyone should be having their snare or clap on beat like that, so the rapper knows, oh, rapping here. So that's fine. Kick, I did the kick first, so let's just play these elements. Alright, so now we have this 808. Oh wait, I forgot. We do have this little I did do this little drill on the kicks right there. It doesn't show up there, so I don't know why it doesn't do that. I think it's just because it's these short notes, but so yeah, there's that. Now with the 808, everything is tuned with the 808 to make sure it doesn't, so it stops at each one. We do the cut to self. So go back in here. So there's no drill with the 808. My kick sits above the 808, so I don't have to worry about any colliding frequencies. I mean, they're going to be colliding frequencies, but I don't have to worry about my kick being buried or such. The kick needs to be the punch. The 808 trails along with it. So, got some ride. All these drums are from Beat It AT drum kits, as well as Hitplay's Skyline drum kit. Anything with SK is from Hitplay's Skyline drum kit, available over at beatat.com. We also do have free drum kits, so I'm not trying to. If you guys don't want to buy something initially, I get it 100%. That's why I put out free samples, free project files, so you guys could see exactly how it's being done. So yeah, here's this ride. So then I have another ride, just like a bounce. Then I have this little percussion right here. All just for adding bounce. Then I do have this snare that I toss a lot of reverb on. And the only difference between these two different patterns is the snare transition at the end. You'll hear it. So if I pull it up, super basic. And those are just the drums for the chorus. So I have the most elements of drums in the chorus. Got this next ambient drum pattern. Right here. So the ambient drum pack patterns are something from one of my kits, and it was at 140 BPM, so it fit perfectly. But if it didn't, I could always done the time, auto detect, and type in the BPM. Excuse me, drinking a lot of coffee today. Alright, so continuing then, that's just like some background sound. I implement usually the most elements in that chorus, so it hits real hard, and it allows the artist to have like some simple a simple rhyme scheme, because a lot of room is being used by the beat and the melody and drums, so the artist doesn't need to contribute a whole lot to the chorus. That's kind of like how, or why most choruses are fairly simple. Then I got this impact sound that I only drop down on that initial hit of the chorus. So now. Then we got one more drum pattern. And it's kind of like a similar one to that ambient one. Just like a gross beat and EQ. It's just to add more space, or create more, fill in the space, kind of make it more complicated. Because it sounds like a whole bunch of percussions going on, but it's not quite too much, I don't think, at least. And the whole purpose of that is to fill in that space, as I've said numerous times now. But not too much. Not too much. Just a little bit. Then I got this reverse cymbal that just flows right back into that second half of the chorus. Omit the drums. So, pretty simple. Continuing. And that's the full loop right there. Kind of adds that transition. The omission of the drums kind of adds a little breathing room for that artist. But yeah. Verse now. We come back to that little part with the gross beat. Bring in the drums. No low part of the hi-hats. So you can see I'm just adding in the low part of the hi-hats while keeping the drums still fairly simple up to here. And then we have that full loop coming in. Now up here we come back and I actually bring back all the elements of the chorus's drums, except we don't have all those, so it sounds different. That's the key. It's not exactly like the chorus, because if we had the chorus, all the elements repeated, it's going to be hard for the artist to know, where the hell am I rapping? Is this the chorus, or is this the chorus, or is this the verse, or is this the verse, or is this the bridge, is this the bridge? You know, they won't know. And as the engineer, because I do a lot of recording sessions with artists, having a beat that has no structure, it's annoying. I don't like it. And it leads the engineer to make a whole bunch of changes to the beat. So if you don't want a lot of changes to the beat, try to make it a standard structure. It's just easier. So then I omit the drums over here to then bring in this special low pass filter on the melody, and we bring in the drums, and then I cut that melody. Like in a bar, like a half of a bar, and I have these drums with the snare transition, so it then leads into that chorus. And doing that snare transition isn't anything special, just a quick couple little notes. So it comes back in with all those elements. We already went through that chorus, so I don't need to go through it again because it's the same thing repeated. Yeah, so that's over there. We move over into verse 2 now. Haha. So now over here I have that gross beat effect again. Let's see. Let's compare. No different for the first 4 bars. Except over here now I do keep it going, and I have that over here. It's like a little bit of a different flow because it keeps this going for an extra 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, yeah, another 2 bars. So whereas over here we only had 4 bars of that, so it's like just the little subtlety differences to try to differentiate each verse. Then it comes back over here, and then I have these drums again. Now the difference, as I said, I think in the beginning of this video, between verse 1 and verse 2 is the transition. I forgot to mention that we have 2 bars extra of this over here, but in this transition I actually omit the last part of the drums and I keep the melody going. So it's just different. Cutting different elements out will allow tension to build up where it needs a resolution, then leading into the chorus. It's pretty simple stuff. If you guys start listening and analyzing to music, especially good music, you'll start realizing, oh, these guys are doing these different little things to indicate, hey listener, this is where the hook comes back in, so get ready to sing. And that's important. It's these little things that will make your beat, if you do like 20 of them, they'll make your beat stand out. I mean, so we got a lot of different little things going on just to make this beat a little bit better. So, and then rolling into that chorus, this low pass filter over here, it's just it's like a band pass but on a lower end, and that mid pass is just more in that middle end, so we're actually cutting out more frequencies now with that gross beat though, which the gross beat's just half speed. Chorus 3, nothing special. Then out here we have that fade out with our master fader. And just to do a automation clip, you just right click a parameter and do create automation clip, and you draw on how you want it. If you do an automation clip on a toggle function, a toggle function would be like this, on and off. It's like a Boolean phrase. There's yes and or no, or yes or no. Not, you don't have multiple functions. Whereas like a mixing meter, we can choose each dB or like level we are wanting to do it. Just like have a panning or stereo separation, we could create an automation clip to that. That's gonna change, and that changes by increments rather than on and off. So outro, I just copied this over here and I just did some different drum stuff. Cut. Just a little stuff like that to keep it interesting. But didn't cover it. The reverse symbol, just a reverse symbol at 1 bar. Super easy. Trying to think. That's pretty much it for the beat structure. There's not really beat structure and pattern development. So I'll go in the mix real quick, and then the master. So the mix, you could kind of see the different faders and like how I do the setup. I like to have my drums, the kick, 808, snare, hi-hat, some of the percussions. They're all louder than the melody. And the reason why is it's hip-hop, it's rap music. Drums are important, especially good drum samples. So you go to beatat.com, you get your drum samples from there, and then you start creating fire beats. And you do that by having your drum samples. This is just for me, but I like to have them higher than the melody, because that's what's going to drive the beat, the bounce, the whole element of the track for the artist to rap on. Now when I do the mastering, it kind of crunches everything a bit together, or compresses everything together, so the melodies are more blended in with the drums. But if I even turned off my master, you guys would still be able to tell that there's a mixture of the melody and the drums, where not all the drums are way overpowering the melody, but certain main drums like the kick, the snare, the 808, that's without the master. So I'm gonna play it again. And that's with the master turned on, as I turned it on while playing. So it's those little things that are important. So what else? Oh yeah, going through the mix. I mostly just got EQs and reverb. For the kick, got the EQ right there. Little boost in that 64 in that sub bass range, which then I pull in a sound groudizer, which is a maximizing plugin usually used for the master. However, the effects it does for the kick is powerful, and I like it. So choose it if you want to, but if I turned it off without it, you barely hear it. With the EQ now. A little bit more. With that sound goodizer now. It's more fat. So I like doing implementing it in the kicks, 808s, just a rough EQ. Excuse me. Turn on that master. Maybe you guys will hear it better now. Go over here. Don't even hear the kick, but when I turn on that kick, huge difference. So the kick is a heartbeat, whereas the snare keeps the tempo in some sense. Ride, EQ, and reverb. You guys can see I'm really not doing a whole lot. The snare, I did that EQ, but the reverb is really spacious. But this snare is not our main snare. This is our main snare, and there's just a light reverb with kind of like a little boost in that 3K range. A cut up to that 130 low end, because we don't need the snares low end, but we don't want to cut it all out. A little panomatic for the ambient drums, so it goes left and right. So in the master now, because I mean that's really it for the mix. It's really a whole lot of just making sure the levels are correct, and then just kind of focusing in on the frequencies that I like and removing the ones that I don't like. And that just takes, honestly, ear training and practice. I will also have more tutorials, in-depth tutorials on mixing. Plus this beat's already made, so I don't want to fiddle with the mix too much. This is a master EQ. Just a little bit of a boost in that 120 range, just for the bass and kick purposes. A little bit of boost in that 3K. Not really even too much. It's just like a subtlety. Dip in 1.3K, and then the dip in the about 300 range, mostly for the vocals' sake. This whole range is like a little bit of a dip for the vocals, because that's about the range where the vocals will sit, is at mid, high mid, low mid range. Just a little bit of saturation with the sound goodizer. I never go, that was my stomach. I never go this, I don't know if you guys heard that, but I never go this high with the sound goodizer. I hate saying this word, or VST name. I just do a little bit of saturation right down there. So, Ozone 8 Elements. I got this free when I bought some plugins off of Plugin Boutique. So I did some width and stereoize, and then I did a maximizer, a little bit of a threshold. So some easy stuff. That's all I really needed. I didn't even do too much imaging, just a bit. Create more space, and then the maximizing is going to crunch down that mix. That's what's going to give us that compact sound. So when we look at the limiter is really there just for some lazy loudness control. Not really even loudness control, just making sure, okay, nothing's going over 0 dB. We might get like a little bit of clip or click here or there. Not a big deal. I'm not shooting for like a crystal clear mix. I want a mix where it's punchy, loud, vibrant, and gives the artist a very good idea of like, hey, this is what this track is gonna sound like when it's ready to go. So however, when the artist purchases that beat, they will get the track outs, and it's up to them if they want to use the bounced out mastered beat, where they could manipulate it, have their engineer kind of do a couple mixing things to mix their vocals in, or they could get the track outs and put it all together with their vocals and master it together then. Either or would work. So because we could see there's really not a lot of space. There's that little space right there. However, when we get in there, the mixing and recording engineer would just have to lower the volume of the beat and mix the rapper's vocals in with a 2-track MP3 or WAV with that vocalist. It isn't hard, but it isn't easy. Usually engineers always want the track outs because it's just best. So besides that, that's pretty much it. I don't really think there's much else to cover in this beat. It's not a complex beat, but it's not by no means a simple beat. There's just, it's key to have the structure, the sound, and the mix all together. The mix is gonna polish everything. The sounds are what is gonna define the beat, because we can agree that this kind of sample would be something similar to what Drake and Travis Scott would probably rap on. And then the drums and structure is important because it is what will allow the artist to flow from. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hopefully this was beneficial, and hopefully you guys learned something from this video. My name is Andrew of Beat It AT Productions and Publishing. If you guys want more, be sure to subscribe. Click that push notifications button, because otherwise you may not be aware of us dropping videos. And that's important, because if we drop a lot of videos, and I drop videos for you guys to watch and learn from and become better beat makers, that is essential. We need better beat makers. So this is Andrew. If you like what we showed, there are links to everything in the descriptions. If you guys want the same headphones, I don't know if you guys could see, or the microphone, or DAW, or any other equipment that I or my team uses, that's in the description as well. It's an affiliate link to Amazon. You don't pay anything in additional. Amazon just kicks back some money to us to help us out because we promoted the products and equipment. So I appreciate it if you guys choose to do that. The Drum Broker link is not an affiliate link. I have nothing to do with Drum Broker. I just really love the samples that they push out. So my name is Andrew. I'll see you guys later.